So I used a diaper box. I opened it up on its seam, and then I cut it so there wouldn't be like a bendy seam in the middle. So I overlapped two of the parts. I used one of the tabs that I already had for my glue, and then I clipped it together and used some books to weigh it down so that it was really tight while it dried. And then you can also use the handle sides to make your own palette, just like a little quick little thing. So here it was all dry, and I decided to use some brown watercolor paint, really diluted, so I could sketch out the shape of my feather. So once I decided what lines I wanted to use, I went back over it with darker brown, and then I decided to go over it with a little bit of black too. Then I used chalk pastels just to kind of color it in, and then I used white acrylic paint that kind of blended with the pastels, but it didn't stay as dark as I was hoping. So I continued to paint it white as like a base, like a primer coat, so that you could see the colors really well with the white. And then I realized the more water I was adding to the acrylic paint, the more it spread easily. So that was a really good thing. I think mine was just a little bit dried out. So you can add water to acrylic paint if you are using acrylic or even tempera paints to make it go faster. Then I went back over it with other colors. See, that was when it just had the chalks in it, but it just needed more. So I added some acrylic paints. I mixed my colors together so that I had this kind of rainbow ombre effect in the feather. So here I'm just painting it, and then as I go down, I add some water to the paint so it mixes better with the white base. And that gave it a really nice pastel effect. At this point, I decided to go around the edges with some silver paint that I had. So I just used my paintbrush and went around the outside just to make it nice and clean looking. And then I used the silver also to do the kind of quill part of the feather. Last, my feather was pretty much dry, so I went around and cut it out. Now, cutting cardboard can be really difficult, so for me, I just used scissors, but as I was going, I had to bend the cardboard down or cut little pieces apart of it on the outside just so I could move my scissors. For this, don't be afraid to ask a parent for help. Here is my finished feather. I can't wait to see your guys' work. Good luck and thanks for watching. So I'm going to do this paper. I think I'm going to seal my gaps. I'm going to put tape all the way over the edge because I don't want to have any openings on the other side. Alright, so now I'm going to draw. This one I'm going to do my peacock feather style. So it's very pointy. Underneath this wrapping, there's a longer little quill tip. So I'm going to draw my lines straight up the middle, but it doesn't really show past maybe this little point. So I'm going to do that part first. I'm going to make this the middle. Then it's going to come out in like a V. A little bit wide, curves up. And curves up like this. Okay, so then there's a giant oval in the middle like this. Inside that is kind of like a diagonal line. If you guys can see it if I tilt it. easier to see. Maybe I need to put a crayon under it so you can see it better. Okay, so this kind of top line, and the bottom is also like an oval, kind of rounds up. And then inside that, it has like a little kind of a mountain shape, and goes up and almost follows the inside line like this. Then it has a couple of bands around the top oval. So 1, 2, 3, and then up here it comes up like this. So here I added another piece of paper because I needed more room on the top. I think I'm going to Sharpie this to make it look a lot cleaner. So let me do that. And then of course I erase all the pencil marks after I finished Sharpieing everything that I wanted to keep. For this next part, I tested out my crayons to find the closest matches to the colors of the feather that I have on the side. You should do the same thing with a little sample sheet of paper so you can test your crayons. And then you can also compare it to even a picture on the computer. So you can do Google image searches for different types of feathers if you want to follow one that's a realistic looking feather. After this, I'm going to use an acrylic medium, which is also similar to Mod Podge, or you could just use glue. And I added some glitter and sequins just to give it a little bit of extra texture. Here I decided to cut it out. I tried to cut out some of the feather texture. It's really up to you how much you want to cut out, but I think it looks a lot better being as detailed as you can. Obviously it took me a long time to do. And then I decided to go back over it with watercolor to fill in any of the white spaces. So you could do this too, it just helps it look more complete. And this is the finished peacock feather.